All right, so the next thing we're going to be working on is literal equations and formulas. The essential question today is, how is writing literal equations useful when solving problems? So why do we use literal equations? Sometimes, so what is a literal equation? A literal equation is a formula where letters represent variables and constants, meaning the numbers. So in a formula, we just have letters. There's minimum to no numbers, which makes it really difficult for a lot of people to solve. But what I want you to take into account, or what I want you to notice, is that you're going to be using the same steps we've been using to solve equations. You're going to stay consistent. You're going to create zeros and you're going to make ones, and you're going to get the variable by itself. So it's the same steps. It's just going to look a little different. So let's look at this example. So the problem says, in half an hour, Sarah's meeting her friends at the lake, 6 miles from her house. So it's letting us know that it's 6 miles away. At what average speed must she ride her bike to get there on time? So what we want to know is the average speed in which she needs to ride her bike. So we're given the distance formula, which is D equals R times T. We just don't put the little dot, but it's times. So what is the distance formula given us? Well, distance, D stands for distance. R stands for rate. And T stands for time. So how do we use this formula to figure out the average speed? So what we want to do is we want to rearrange this formula in a way that it gives us that we get the R by itself, because we want to know the average speed. We want to know the rate. So we want R to be by itself. So let's rearrange the formula so R is by itself. Okay, so we got D equals R times T. And we want R by itself, okay? R is already on the right side, so let's just keep it on the right side, right? It's already on the right, and this is the left. So let's just keep it on the right, which means I need to get rid of this T. Well, how do I get rid of this T? We got to do the opposite of what it's doing. Well, what's happening right now? They're multiplying each other, as you can tell. There's a little dot right there, which means they're multiplying each other. So if I want to get rid of the T, I got to do the opposite of what it's doing, which is the opposite of multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide by T. And whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. And let's just go ahead and do math. From left to right, or from right to left, what's going to happen to the T's? Well, T divided by T is basically the same number divided by the same number. And when we do that, remember, we get a 1. So that just technically cancels. Well, what are we left with? On the right side, we're left with R because the T cancels. And on the left side, we're left with D divided by T, which is what we wanted. So now we have a new formula. And our new formula is R equals D divided by T. I just flipped them because I want R on the left, but that's my new formula. So now I can figure out the average speed or the rate. All I got to do is plug in the information that I have. Well, I want to know what R is going to be. So R equals distance, that is on the top. Well, what's the distance? The distance we know is 6 miles. So D is going to be 6. Divided by T, well, T is time, and time is half hour, so 0.5. And all we got to do is do the math. Well, what is 6 divided by 0.5? You can grab your calculator. You can put 6 divided by 0.5, and that gives you 12. So that means that this equals to 12. So the rate is 12, which means that it's going to take an average speed of 12 miles per hour to get to the destination. All right, To go over a second problem, we got this example right here. Now check it out. It says a worker at a framing store is making a rectangular frame. So you see the rectangular frame right there. He knows that the perimeter of the frame is 144. So again, it's giving us some information. It's telling us that the perimeter of the frame is 144 inches. And it's also letting us know that the length is 40 inches. The question is, how can he determine the width of the frame? So we're looking for the width. We know that this is the length, and we know that this is the width. Well, what's given to us? They're giving us the perimeter formula. P stands for perimeter. L stands for the length. And W stands for width. What the question is asking us for the width. Well, since the question is asking us for the width, we got to get W by itself. So we got to rearrange the perimeter formula so it gets me W by itself. Well, I got P equals 2L plus 2W. And my job right now is to get W by itself, which means that anything that is not W, we got to get rid of it and put it on the other side. Well, the first thing that I want to get rid of is the 2L. Remember, whatever has the variable, leave it by itself. So we're going to leave 2W by itself for now. Let's get rid of the 2L. Well, what is the opposite of 2L? And remember, you want to get rid of the 2 and the L at the same time, not one by one. So we're not trying to divide. In order to get rid of a 2L, do the opposite of a 2L, which is minus L.
Come to the rail center. Tobias over. Come to the rail center, please. That's C1.
So let's go ahead and minus 2L and minus 2L. All right. Well, 2L minus 2L, that equals 0. So that's gone. So I'm left with 2W. Now, how do I subtract P minus 2L? That's not possible because they're not like terms. So because they're not like terms, all you're going to do is just write them individually. So I'm going to write the first one on the top. I'm going to write the one on the top first. So that's P. And then the one on the bottom second, minus 2L. So all I really did was rewrite the problem down there. Okay. I didn't combine them. I just rewrote P minus 2L horizontally. All right, we're almost done. We still gotta get W by itself. So I gotta get rid of that 2. Well, how do I get rid of that 2? Again, the 2 and the W are multiplying. So what is the opposite of multiplication? That would be division. So to get rid of that 2, I'm gonna go ahead and divide by 2. And whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. Well, that's gone. And you're left with W equals P minus 2L divided by 2. And again, notice that I'm just rewriting the expression. Again, I'm not simplifying anything. I'm not making it smaller. I'm literally just rewriting everything I moved to the left in 1. So now that you have a new formula, now you can go ahead and solve this problem. With a new formula, tells me that W equals P minus 2L divided by 2. So all I got to do is plug in P and plug in L. All right. Well, let's just plug in the values. Well, what's my P value? Well, my P value is my perimeter, and it's letting me know that the perimeter is 144. So I'm going to plug in 144 in for P. I also got to figure out what my L is. My L is the length, which is telling me that the length is 40 inches. So I'm going to plug in 40 right there. And then remember, there's a 2 on the bottom, so I'm going to divide everything by 2. Cool. Now, all I'm going to do is do the math. And I can just plug all of this into my calculator. 144 minus 2 parentheses 40. So that gets me, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of running out of space. I'm gonna do the top first. So on the top, I get 64. And then the bottom is just 2. So 64 divided by 2, that gets me 32. So W, and again, I'm sorry, I'm kind of running out of space. So W equals 32 inches. All right. So again, the point of literal equation is so you arrange the formula in a way that you get the variable that you want by itself. So now all you got to do is plug in the values.